Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.
Kind of changed the schedule for part two. We were gonna have some fun and games this week, but as it's just me and Dom, and with no Sam here, we'll
no
put that
fun.
on hold. There's no fun this week, just misery,
Okay.
continued misery in being a Torquay fan. Before we do dive into part two, we're making a big push on YouTube. We had quite a big jump in subscribers on YouTube recently. I think we're up to the 280 now, which is fantastic. So thank you, Yellow Army, for your continued support of Talkie Talk. The ultimate aim for us is to get to 500. So please, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. It makes a huge difference. Every subscription counts. So thank you very much for your support in that regard. Also, we drew Yeovil in the FA Trophy. Dom, quick reaction to the trophy draw. It was bound to happen, wasn't it?
I just don't care about the FA Trophy very much, to be honest. I see no chance of winning it when we started in round 4 or whatever. Now we're in round 2, are we? I lose track. I thought we might get him in the FA Cup, so just waited a little bit longer, didn't we? I think that's the way our luck's going at the moment, isn't it? We were a terrible football club, but our luck's also bad, and we're getting the best team in the draw that you can get. So
yeah,
I don't know. They might play a weakened team. You don't know how that's going to play out, do you? We might be able to win that one, but it's all on next Tuesday first, isn't it?
Absolutely.
A trophy is just a side note, isn't it? At least there'll be a decent crowd.
Couldn't care less about the trophy. I agree, Dom. I just couldn't care less. Especially more now it's Yeovil. So
yes.
Well done, Sheridan, on getting to the next round of the trophy, I guess. So so that's trophy business done. So for those of you unaware, George Edwards was at the Hampton game on Saturday, and at full time, I don't want to say he was surrounded, but there was quite a few of the Yellow Army that managed to have a chat with him for a few minutes, and we've got a couple of points from what was said.
Shall we say accosted or costed, maybe?
Accosted, perhaps.
Surrounded sounds like Zulu or something.
So, but I suppose to his credit, he did answer a couple of questions, but then again, it's been how long since we've last heard from him? So we'll just divulge into what was said, and we'll put our views across. So at the top of the list is the club are still planning for a new stadium, but they don't know where at the minute. That's been the whole thing for them since they came in, and brand new stadium, on the Willows. And 5-6 years later, it's nowhere close to fruition.
Similar that I'm still planning for a new Ferrari, mate, but I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna be parked. It's still pie in the sky at the moment. I don't even know what to say about the stadium. Surprised anyone mentioned it, to be honest, because it's all just a load of it feels like nonsense, doesn't it? At the moment, where position we are in the league and where we are, it's just they clearly don't want to give it up, do they? Those dreams.
We don't feel play more anyway. I mean, I guess for them it's they want to be able to own the ground outright, and I can understand that if we were saying high in League Two pushing into League One, but there's just higher priorities at the minute than worrying about where a new stadium's going to be built. And the answer, we don't even know where. We're still looking. It's just they haven't got the Scoobies, have they?
They haven't got the know-how. They haven't got the previous background of actually doing it. I just don't think there's any belief it will ever happen. Yeah.
There was also regards to the budget. The budget is good and is not the reason for new players not arriving into the club. Now, of course, since then, we've had 2 from Fleetwood who are managed by Gary Johnson's son. So
that's an interesting one, that, isn't it? Because it sounded like he was having a go at Gary Johnson. That remark, I don't suppose he meant to have a go at Gary Johnson, but that kind of remark does lead you back to the manager and thinking, right, why aren't you sorting this squad out? But then his son comes to his rescue a little bit, doesn't it?
Yes, but this has been the debate, at least in my friend circle for the last week, is has he just burnt all the bridges, Gary Johnson? I mean, you look at, the players that we've brought in from I'm trying to think of good examples now. I had them in my head, but Southampton, for example, that Pierce fella, he came in for a month, didn't really play well. And when we played them pre-season, that was we all thought that was the reason why we had that pre-season, was so we could have a chance to look at these young players and potentially get them in. And he just has a reluctance to play them, and then either plays them out of position, doesn't give them a start at all. And then it doesn't surprise me that managers now don't want to send young players down to us. And it's not an excuse for Yeovil.
Do they think they're going to learn something at playing, or are they going to progress as footballers? I'm not sure at the moment. I mean, I'm not ruling it out entirely. I mean, Gary Johnson can still get a player up to a decent level, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're looking at it thinking he's not going to progress. And I mean, Exeter City aren't giving us any players, are they? They've sent a player on loan to Yeovil Town last week, which we mentioned. That's the sort of player we could deal with. They already had 5 strikers.
They're taking all the strikers out of the market, aren't they? So we can't sign them. But I don't buy. I just don't buy this. Well, players don't want to come to the Southwest. I'm sorry, I don't buy that for a minute. I think Alex Rowe, the former chairman of the club, he posted on social media. People want to see a professional outfit, well run with high ambitions, and there just doesn't seem to be any of that at Torquay United anymore. Yeah,
you've got to show them what you have to offer, and make it attractive. And maybe that's it. It's very difficult to tell, isn't it? We're reading between the lines here, aren't we? I mean, we played Reading in the summer. We didn't get anybody from them at all either, did we? Thought that was the reasons. We've had one guy from Plymouth, Phil Jenkins. We had that one winger from Exeter City last season, didn't we? But we've got Dean Moxey on our books. You think he could help pull some strings? And they are the closest.
Or even, Kevin Nicholson at Exeter. Surely, that'd be something you think would be something to look at. But
I don't know.
But if there's budget, use it. If you've got a designated budget, then do it. You've got to dive in, and you've got to get these, especially now.
It's poor planning. We're almost waiting for people to get injured or be off, and then we find players. We're not planning in advance. We're not bulking up the squad enough.
Doesn't help when your only head of recruitment is Pete Johnson. It's just, it's just sad.
He's had a bit of criticism this week, I think, because
rightfully so. But surely he can't be the only one doing recruitment. He surely can't be the only person going out. And yet on Saturdays he's on the bench. Why is Pete Johnson not out and watching other local players?
I don't know. I don't know if we have anybody else looking for us. It used to be you would have a bunch of scouts, wouldn't you? And you'd sort of like, you live in that area, could you go along to those grounds? But do we have that kind of networking going on? There's a lot of unsaid stuff at Torquay. You don't really know what goes on behind the club, a lot of it, do we? And I'm not sure we want to know.
No, absolutely not.
Probably be embarrassed anyway if we knew the truth. So.
Yeah. And then the final 2 points both relate to the Trust, which also Trust have got a very, very important meeting in a couple of weeks. I think it's just after the Yeovil game, isn't it, on the 8th?
Yeah.
We'll try and link that in to this video, but if you can attend, please do. It's vitally important now we all get behind the Trust, and we as supporters. It's going to be Zoom streamed as well, so if you can make it, please do. Otherwise it'll be on a Zoom link, but we'll try and find some details, put them on there, but it's all on their social media website, so please do support the Trust. It's very, very important now. And the last 2 points, as mentioned, do relate to the Trust. They have no plans to attend the upcoming fans forum, which I thought was absolutely disgraceful. When you watch the video back, it's not our supporters' Trust. It's not our. They don't care unless they can control it in their environment. They don't give a monkeys, do they?
Goes back to the start. This trust of who the Trust are, and are they just going to be criticising us? Are they against us as owners? And I think it's never got any better after that. They've had meetings, but I think George Edwards has very much keep them at arm's length. I don't want to deal with you. I don't really want to, get involved with your things. we've had a few bits where the club and the trust have come together, but it's been rare, and that's been disappointing because we had Domney, who was supposed to be the liaison person. You've got Mel Heyman there, who's is a proper Torquay supporter, and you think she could understand the worries of the fans, where we're coming from. I just hope for better from her, but maybe she's got so little sway that it all goes back to George. That's what it feels like. I'm not sure I'm not sure Clark Osborne's wielding too many.
Not a second thought.
No, I'm not sure he knows the ins and outs so much as lets George control it, and then George reports back to him and he goes, "Yep, no problem. I'll leave you to it."
But I'm not being funny though. George Edwards, where he was sat on Saturday, he was in the seat bit next to the terrace where we were. There's no way he could have not heard us and everything that was being sung and about Gary Johnson and all that. I mean, just it's time the club woke up, and we don't want to be against the club. We're all fans of this football club. We want what's best for this football club. We don't want to be struggling in the National League South. We don't want to be ending up in this division. You need a balance between the fans and the ownership.
You need to engage properly with supporters. They're the best thing about this club is the support. How many thousands of people support the club around the country? 850 turned up to Weston. It's our greatest strength, and if you don't harness that properly, you're never going to do any better. And their stubborn refusal to engage, really communicate.
And going on the engagement, going on the engagement side as well, they say it's not a priority of theirs. I think you've made that abundantly clear, George Edwards, that it's not a priority. It's all good and well when you're winning games, you're successful, and you don't need to worry too much about the fans. But now more than ever, where we are, I mean, this is probably the lowest we've ever been.
It's business speak, and when we were doing well, you had the opportunity to do more with the supporters then. That was the time, isn't it? Now it was never going to get better after that because they've retreated, haven't they? We're losing, and they don't want to speak to us anymore now, do they? Because they're going to get a flea in their ear, and he had plenty of that, didn't he? I mean, the guy was asking him sensible questions, wasn't he, on Saturday? And it was interesting to hear the answers. At least he stood there and did speak to them, but.
He didn't want to be there, did he?
He didn't really want to be there, did he?
He was trying to scarper. He was just trying to find an excuse to scarper, wasn't he? But credit to the Torquay fans for asking the question, and I think we deserve to be able to ask questions now. And that kind of leads us on to the 5-year plan of Clark Osborne. Well, I say 5 years. How many years has it been now?
It's been 6 now. I think it was
6 now.
Yeah.
So this, the 6-year plan to be back in to be a mid-table National League South team. I mean, where do you start? I mean, the one thing I suppose is communication and engagement with the fans. Well, where's that gone, Clark?
Communication engagement. We were supposed to have a fans forum, wasn't it? Nobody was surprised when that didn't happen. We were supposed to have a supporter on the board. That could have made all the difference, but never had any trust that was going to happen, did we? Right from the start. I mean, there's a lot of things on social media and stuff, isn't there? There's never been more PR and stuff been put out by the club, but it's a lot of sugarcoating, isn't it? A lot of, posts that have been due to put out, Player of the Month. Oh, yeah, we'll put that out. New sponsors. I don't know, whatever else, retro goals. It's those kind of like periodic scheduling, isn't it? This is what's going to happen this month. Here we go. I've got it on your timetable. Here's your calendar. Yep, that's what's going to come out.
That post about Aaron Jarvis being out till Christmas was the first proper engagement we've probably had with people inside the club for a long time.
I think Gary has responded a bit recently, isn't he? I think they've prodded him a little bit to be a bit more open about injuries because he has started to tell a few things and become a bit more not of an open book, but give us a little bit more information about what's going on. So I think the push that's been recently happened from supporters is it shows the club do read what's coming from supporters, doesn't it? I think they are very much in tune with what's going on and looking at what people are posting. So
I I'm sure they've got a list of block words on Twitter or whatever, so they don't see the ones that come through, which is probably 99% of the fan base. But yeah, I mean, that's, I think, all we ask really is more engagement about what's going on with people inside
Honesty,
the club.
maybe, but I just don't think so.
Honesty.
They're running it as
Enough.
a business, aren't they? They don't want
Enough.
to.
Yeah.
They won't want to give too much information, do they?
I mean, we were meant to have a youth academy. That was part of the 5-year plan. I mean, yes, we have the Torquay under 18s, isn't it? But they're not. Are they affiliated with us?
They are. It's just not a proper academies, which means you can't register them enough to get any money for the players if they go elsewhere. Can you? That's what happened with the goalkeeper last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a youth system, but it's not. I don't think they've
not when you compare.
I don't think they've wanted to finance it enough to make it into academy and put all their finances into it, which is understandable because it may not pay anything back. But of course, there's a good chance you might find some diamonds, and it does pay back. It's a risk for a reward, isn't it? But yeah,
you need the funding to do it, though, don't you?
You do. I find it hard on that one because they put decent money into the youth system, and we didn't have anything before. So they could have put no money into the youth system at all. So we do have under 18s, but we just don't have anybody coming through. So it's not paying off, is it?
No. Sustainable business model was another part of the 5-year plan. I mean, he puts the money in, but again, we're millions of millions of pounds into debt to him. And being in the National League South, we must be hemorrhaging money at this point. We need to be successful off the pitch as well as on the pitch. Yeah. And I just, what business model in their right mind would be right in 5 years, we'll be back at this level. I'm sure that wasn't the plan at all when they originally came in. But at the end of the day, when you're back in the National League South and you're struggling the way we are, again, it's just so hard to judge, where we're going as a football club.
I mean,
what's the end game? What's his end game?
I don't know. I mean, the deficit is against the club, but it just moves around the different subsidiaries, I guess, of his business. So you say 5 million, but he's just moving it around, isn't it? So it's like having kids, isn't it? Whereas one is, owes you £10, whereas another one's got 20 quid in their pocket. So it nets against each other, I guess, like that, doesn't it? But I mean, it's a poor situation to be in. And what hope is there for new owners when you kind of got these owners showing what they've put into the club? They've spent good money and they've not made it sustainable. They've not made any money at all out of it. And they've employed a manager who they hoped would take them places up to the league, cut runs, maybe even get some youth players into the team and develop and sell them on for good money. I guess that's what they were hoping. That and the new stadium, but none of it's come to fruition.
My biggest fear is if we go part-time. If we do go part-time, then, as I've mentioned in previous episodes in the past, then I think we're just confining ourselves to being stuck in regional football for a long while. And, do you save money going part-time? Potentially, but I mean, when you've got a 6,500 stadium to fill and you're getting, 2,000 is okay. It's brilliant at this level. But I think, if you're going to break even, you need 3,000. So it's, again.
Are we making any more losses this season than we were doing the National League, though? I don't know. I mean, they've probably cut the budget a bit, haven't they? They're working out the sums. I mean, we're getting pretty good attendances again, aren't we? So at the moment, I don't think it's probably any difference. But it counts on the Yellow Army keep supporting it, doesn't it? Because you can't, if you're not doing well, you're going to sell less shirts, you're going to sell less season tickets. You can't keep on attracting people if we're going to be 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th or whatever. I'm sure we'll be higher than that. But if we don't go up, there's not going to be more season tickets holders next season, are there? Because the expectations were high this season. I don't think.
Did we lose any? Did we lose only in the summer? I'm sure there's quite a few people, quite rightly, decided. You know what? I'm not gonna. You can stuff your price freeze this for the next season. I'm not gonna. For National League South football,
and it's very difficult to tell because they don't give you any numbers, do they? So you wouldn't know. So. And
do you lose revenue from the TV? Because obviously we're not on TV coverage unless you get to the final, I guess. I know they do cover a couple of, or they did last season, National League North and South games, but unless you're playing the Oval or something, then it's
the sums. But I don't expect the losses of much difference between the two, really.
And ultimately, the final part of the 5-year plan was to be back in the Football League. Well, that seems so. It almost is a lifetime ago now since we were, we fell out of the league in 2014 and not been back since. I mean, we're going to be 10 years in non-league next season.
Yeah. And it's become the norm now, isn't it? For years, we were an ex-Football League team. You think, right, it will happen. We'll get back at some point. You start to think, oh, good God, will it ever happen again at this point? I mean, 3 years ago, we beat Hartlepool 5-0 away and we were flying, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Those days could happen.
Yeah.
Those days could happen again, but there you go.
That was the day I thought, wow, we could do that this season. We could absolutely walk it this season. And, again, Football A, a better referee and maybe we are in the Football League, or a better penalty and we're in the Football League. And it's just that such a decline in 2-3 seasons from that fateful day in that season.
The forward planning wasn't there, was it, for after that? We didn't plan to not go up. We didn't plan well enough that if we didn't go up, we've still got this squad, we can still work and go forward again. We didn't have that plan, did we?
And it's almost as if, and I'm sure it's been referenced in the past, they didn't think, hang on a minute, what if it doesn't work out under Gary Johnson? Where do we go from here? What's our plan B if it doesn't work with Gary Johnson? And, when we went out first time, when he came in first season in the South, it's like, job's done. We'll never be playing at that level again. It's all worked out. And here we are 4 or 5 seasons later. And it's all going wrong under Johnson. I say about 90% of the fan base. It depends whether you're going to home or away games, because I don't know. Do you find that there's more support at home for Gary Johnson? Maybe you get people who just think, as long as there's a club, Torquay United, I don't care what division we're in, or if people just come to expect that we're always going to be rubbish.
I don't know. At home, you get a lot of the older people, I think, who are maybe a bit more lenient on Gary. Got a bit more trust in them. But I don't know. It's difficult to tell around our way because they're not the most vocal in the middle of Bristol. There's a lot of sort of elderly people who sort of will turn up whatever. It's difficult to gauge from that point. People along the end get a bit more angry, don't they, in Rachel's flock? I think. But I don't know, they'll cling to his reputation, what he's done before, some people, and then they'll cling to it, as they wish. Everybody's got their own views, haven't they? But I think I don't like these owners. They clearly haven't got the expertise to run a football club well. I think they've also put all their trust in Gary, and they don't have a plan B to back it up. And we're paying for that, aren't we? We're
100%.
paying for it.
100%.
And that's trusting a manager with his track record isn't such a bad thing. But at some point, you've got to say, right, we need to do something now, refresh things, change it up. If it costs us money, we might have to pay it, because otherwise, as you said before, we could get stuck at this level, and then where are we going to be? I mean, do they care? That's the question is also asked. I really can't tell. We never hear from them. I mean, George is at every game, so he's clearly invested in what happens, isn't he? But do they care enough to make the right decisions? And they had the points last season. He could have gone. They've had moments, and the Yellow Army would have understood. They haven't made the decisions. They've kept rolling as we are, haven't we?
We also had a first round replay against Derby County, which I think definitely helped Johnson survive that tough period. This season, out of the Cup, in the National League South, I do think the players that we got are good players. However, I think it's almost akin to Owers before he left. He got a good squad together. He just didn't know how to get the best out of them on the pitch. I just think with a fresh set of eyes, a new management, a younger manager, I just think they could get something motoring. And I think we have to forget about top spot now. If they are going to continue with Gary Johnson, I think our best hope is playoffs. But again, look how congested that, from second down to say 15th. I mean, it's only a couple of points in it.
Hard to believe we're saying that, aren't we? Because anything other than top three is a bit embarrassing, really. I mean,
and so it should be.
So the least of our expectations, isn't it? Yeah, there's only 2 full-time teams in the league. I mean, we should be pushing, shouldn't we? This is the time to go for it. I mean, 2 games in a week. Oh, we've got full-time players. That should work in our favour. Instead, we're thinking, oh, we've got injury-prone players. We haven't got enough squad members to back it up. And it's similar troubles to last season. It feels like deja vu in a lot of ways. It really does.
I guess we
I can understand the anger of supporters, and the vibes will be fractious on Saturday again, won't they?
Big game Saturday. Bath at home. From what I understand, they've sold quite a lot of tickets already. They'll have a very noisy fan base there in the away end on Saturday. Gary's gone on about home advantage. We've done well at home this season. We've won the majority of our games at home. It's win or bust, isn't it? We've got to win. We've got to get. We can't lose the next 2. Maybe Yeovil we'll get onto in a minute. It's a much more difficult proposition, but the best way to silence the critics is get a win. And how many times has it been where Gary Johnson's been on the ropes? He's been on the verge from the fan base, and then he gets that one win, and all of a sudden things seem a bit brighter again.
He throws a left hook out of nowhere and manages to land one, doesn't he? That's what he did last season. He always felt like he's going to go, and then he came back. But I don't know who's the manager at Bath. Jerry Gill, is it?
He's been there for ages.
He's the sort of manager that Torquay would have looked into, somebody of that experience. Maybe he's
possibly
still reasonably young. They play decent football by the sound of it. You do wonder, don't you? If you look at the players that we've got compared to them, we should still win that game, I guess. But when your confidence low and it only has to take 1 goal from Bath and the Yellow Army,
got to stop conceding. Stop conceding first. Stop conceding such silly goals.
But the whole crowd gets angry very quickly at that point, doesn't it? Because we're at that tipping point where anything at the moment, it just sets everybody's into that mode. And we don't mean to necessarily. It's just they're just pushing us to the limits, aren't they, mate? Like you last week, you were angry. Absolutely. I mean, you were all right this week, but oh my goodness. They're pushing.
Yeah, thankfully Sam's rant kind of took the main focus from mine, but that's fine because I thought it was a very well thought out rant, whereas mine was just, kind of in the spirit of my late grandpa. Bless us, no longer here with us. But man, I tell you,
Bath aren't in wonderful form, are they? They are fairly beatable if we get their own.
Lost to Worthing, they lost to Worthing, who have been on a poor run as well.
What do you predict for the score then?
Believe it or not, I'm going to do a wadey and say 2-2. No, there's no Jarves. I don't know if we'll have Halstead. You're relying on the new striker to do a job for us. I don't know. I think we'll score a couple. I think Ash might score finally, but I just don't trust us to keep a clean sheet, mate. And I just cannot see where the next win's coming from, sadly. I'm going to go 2-2.
I'll say 1-1. Yeah, I do wonder. They sound like they've got a decent defensive record. We always concede at least one, don't we? I can see us conceding a silly goal and then maybe equalise in the second half. But it would be nice to see Ash score. I mean, this team are driving me balmy, but I do like the guy. He does give it. He does try everything, doesn't he?
I think if he scores the first goal and we score first, that's going to bring a huge lift to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need it.
But we've got to stop conceding these dreadful piss poor goals we're conceding week in and week out. You know, you're never going to get anywhere.
Surely he can't keep Marshall in the lineup, but what can he change it to? Go back to a three at the back again, Thomas?
Oh, God. Well, if he can show the passion that he showed off the pitch on Saturday, Marshall, and put it onto the pitch, then who knows?
But you could put Moxie at centre back, but then Dan Martin's got to come in, and he hasn't proven anything for weeks now.
Is he fit? Is he fit? He's injured, isn't it? Do not know. And then, of course, we go on to Tuesday, the first of a run of Saturday, Tuesday. It's only Yeovil, 10 points clear at the top. Christ, I mean, this could be classic Torquay. We absolutely smash them at home, or they're going to absolutely annihilate us. And sadly, I think again, it all depends though on Saturday, doesn't it? Because if we can get a good result on Saturday, then
I know I always find it difficult when we do these double headers predicting because it does alter your mind, doesn't it? If we beat Bath 3-1, and suddenly you think, yeah, all right, we can turn Yeovil over. If we lose 3-1 to Bath, then you're always expecting that second loss, aren't you? I'll say 3-2 to Yeovil for Tuesday because they are scoring goals, and it could be a funny old game, that one. Anything can happen in those games.
This is a prediction that could change, but as things stand at the time of recording, I think it's going to be 3-1 Yeovil, and that pains me to say.
Yeah. Are we getting Sheridan on next week, or does it depend on the result?
Well, she's going on Tuesday, isn't she? So hopefully we'll be able to meet up Sheridan before then, and we'll try and not discuss football for a couple of minutes. But, you know, it's a big month, November. We go to Havant in a couple of weeks. Yeah,
you lost two big characters in Tom Lapsley and Jarvis, haven't you? They're the two players who've really been
the poor
they're leaders, aren't they? They're people you want in the team, don't you, every week? Definitely.
The poor Tom Lapsley Appreciation Society. It was tea last day at Hampton, and he wasn't even on the pitch.
Oh, bless him.
Gutted.
As soon as Tuesday, Saturday games come, you think he might be off, but he didn't even make the first Tuesday, did he? But knocking trade or something. He's missed, but it was going to happen at some point. That's the trouble. He puts everything into the games with his little body, doesn't he? And that's it. I don't know when he's going to be back. But
who knows?
He does lead the charge. He's one of the few players I enjoy watching at Torquay these days because he plays with a smile on his face and he brings some enjoyment, doesn't he? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, that brings a conclusion to this week's Gull'S Eye View. A very different Gull'S Eye View this week to the one that we were planning, but
quite calm with only two people, isn't it?
I know. No, we'll have Chris and Sam maybe next week. They can mellow it out more next week, but we'll see. Hopefully, the four of us will be back next after the Oval game. But hope you enjoyed this week's episode, everyone. Again, it's kind of last minute changes this week, so thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support of Talky Talk once again. Again, please do subscribe to us on YouTube. It makes a huge difference. We are pushing for 500 subscribers if we can, and beyond that. So if you haven't, doesn't cost you anything. If we hit 500, maybe we'll do something fancy, but I don't know.
Wow.
We'll see.
Don't make any promises.
No promises, but we'll see. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week after Yeovil. It'll all be fine, I promise.
Oh.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Banyan.